Right now, 22 drivers are fighting for millimeters on a track at 200 miles per hour. Their hearts are beating at 180 beats per minute, their bodies enduring 5 Gs of lateral force. But while the world is staring at the carbon fiber and the sparks flying from the underbody, the real race, the one that actually matters, is happening thousands of miles away in boardrooms in Denver, New York, and Riyadh. We've spent years waiting for a perfect map of the sports world to appear. We thought we knew who the giants were: the NFL, the NBA, the Premier League. Therefore, we missed the moment Formula One stopped being a racing series and became a $50 billion asset class. Think about that number. As of March 2026, the average value of a single team on this grid has crossed $3.6 billion. That's an 89% increase in just 3 years. We aren't just seeing growth, we are seeing a financial terraforming of global entertainment. You see, most people think F1 is about who crosses the finish line first. But if you look at the ledger, you'll realize the winner was decided before the engines even started. Today, I'm taking you inside the most aggressive land grab in media history. We're going to find out who actually holds the keys to the kingdom. Chapter 1: The Cable Cowboy's Masterstroke. To find the true owner, you have to follow the money back to a nondescript office in Englewood, Colorado. This is the headquarters of Liberty Media. When they bought Formula One in 2017 for $8 billion, the dogma of the paddock called it a bubble. The European purists laughed. They said Americans didn't get the sport. They said you couldn't manufacture drama with a Netflix show. But look at the full-year fiscal report Liberty released just 20 days ago, in February 2026. F1's annual revenue hit a record $3.87 billion. That is a 14% jump in a single year. Therefore, John Malone, the man they call the Cable Cowboy, didn't just buy a racing series. He bought a global software-as-a-service platform disguised as a race. Malone's strategy wasn't just to make F1 bigger, it was to make it an ecosystem. In July of last year, Liberty officially finalized its $4.9 billion acquisition of MotoGP. Therefore, if it has an engine, 2 or 4 wheels, and a global broadcast contract, John Malone likely owns the commercial heartbeat of it. He has created a motorsport monopoly that is functionally unblockable by traditional competitors. Since the pandemic, Liberty Media's tracking stock, F1's, has outperformed the S&P 500 by over 40%. When you buy a ticket to a race, you're not just supporting a driver, you are feeding a diversified portfolio that now includes F1, MotoGP, and massive stakes in Live Nation. You think you're watching a sport, but you're actually watching a masterclass in capital appreciation. Chapter 2: The $6.5 billion barrier. Let's talk about the teams. You might think that if you were a billionaire with a dream, you could still buy your way onto this grid. But the gate has been slammed shut and triple locked. Back in 2020, you could have picked up a struggling team like Williams for roughly $180 million. Fast forward to today, March 2026. Ferrari is now valued at $6.5 billion. Mercedes, $6 billion. Even Haas, the team once considered a budget entry, is now worth $1.68 billion. Therefore, the grid is no longer a collection of racers. It is a collection of unicorns. This is exactly why the Andretti War was so violent. When Cadillac and General Motors wanted to join as the 11th team, the existing 10 teams fought back with everything they had. They didn't care about growing the sport. They cared about dilution. But money eventually found a way. Cadillac finally hit the grid this month for the 2026 Australian Grand Prix. But it came at a price. They had to navigate an anti-dilution fee that was reportedly negotiated up to $450 million. Think about that. For Cadillac to even turn a wheel, they had to effectively write a $45 million check to every rival team already on the grid. In the 2026 economy, your competitors are also your landlords. You don't just race against Ferrari, you pay them for the privilege of standing on the same asphalt. Chapter 3: The Apple Revolution. If you're watching from the United States, you've noticed the biggest shift of all this season. For the first time in a decade, F1 isn't on ESPN. It has moved exclusively to Apple TV. This was a 5-year deal worth just under $150 million a year. But this isn't just about pixels on a screen. Apple isn't a broadcaster. They are an ecosystem. They are integrating F1 into the very nervous system of their hardware. Real-time telemetry on your Apple Watch, immersive pit lane views on the Vision Pro, F1 News pushed to every iPhone on the planet. Therefore, F1 has moved from being content to being infrastructure. Apple realized that F1 fans are the highest spending demographic in all of sports. They aren't just selling you a race, they are selling you a lifestyle subscription. While Apple owns the stream, the Saudi Public Investment Fund owns the shadows. Through their state-owned oil giant, Aramco, they provide over $100 million in annual sponsorship. But they also control the synthetic fuel mandate that launched this year. Therefore, if the fuel stops, the sport stops. Between Apple's silicon and Riyadh's oil, Liberty Media is the conductor of a very expensive, very complex global orchestra. The outro. The last dab. So we go back to our original question. Who actually owns Formula One? On paper, the answer is simple. It's John Malone and the shareholders of Liberty Media. But the truth is quieter. It is owned by the tech giants who control your Sunday morning attention. It is owned by the energy titans who fund the carbon-neutral dream. And it is owned by the luxury conglomerates like LVMH, who just signed a €1 billion deal to ensure that every trophy is carried in a Louis Vuitton trunk. We are entering an era where the car is just a mobile billboard for the greatest financial experiment in human history. You don't need absolute certainty to see where this is going. You just need the audacity to look at the balance sheet. In Formula One, the driver takes the podium, but the financier takes the wire transfer. And that is the only lap that truly matters. Stop settling for the highlights. Keep looking at the ledger. And if you liked this brief overview of the most trending sport on the planet, subscribe to Evolution Athletics to keep your finger on the pulse.